Alright, another video and audio both recording. Making sure it's recording, not streaming, because that'll be the worst. Hello everybody, how's it going guys? Welcome to yet another video of checking out everything that's new for BFA. And before we get on the video, I'll be kind of honest guys. BFA Alpha seems so far pretty barren. It is an alpha, it is very first impressions, but besides the first two zones with a load of buggy quests, a load of the quests that just don't even work, a load of the NPCs that don't really function, and a few bugs here and there, there's not a lot to it except checking out classes. And because I'm not in the alpha, I can't really go take a deep look into classes. There are a few classes that I'm very interested in. I might go find a bunch of footage of survival hunters and discuss what survival hunters is all about since they changed that. In terms of rogues, there's really not too many changes that I can really find. There's not too many huge changes, so people are, wildly checking it out, trying to test it out. So far, I haven't really seen PvP footages of anybody because it is at level 110, not even 120. Again, because it's alpha. Hopefully, by the time beta rolls around, we'll see a lot more. So today, I want to talk about the topics of class buffs. And Blizzard introduced this idea back to reintroduce class buffs back in the game from what they used to have. Things like Curse of Elemental, Curse of Elements from Warlocks, 5% damage increase from magic abilities, or even what Paladins used to have, where on Judgment they would make enemy take 3% more damage from melee attacks, I'm pretty sure. There are a lot of these stuff like that was added in the game, and recently Blizzard decided to go back and redo them. At first, every single class in the game had class buffs, but they decided to kind of tone it down, which gives me a little bit of an idea how they're approaching each and every class. But right before we talk about that, there's one thing that I do want to discuss first. Blizzard decided to go and make a UI change. We talked about this in the past when we originally took a look at the original Blizzard footage from BlizzCon. This is the original UI that you would see in the game. I'll try to move my chair at best, but this is the vanilla UI, right? And if you were to go to the new UI, I'm trying to move myself as much as I can. So here we have all the abilities. It basically extends the bar from this to this, technically giving you a lot more real, I guess, space and face to fill abilities on here, although this weird area doesn't seem to be moving with a 1. And then you have all your backspace right here, all your macros. It's really hard to see. Well, here we go. That's even better. So I moved all this stuff to the bottom right corner, and a lot of people found this jarring. I just want to get you guys' opinion on this new UI model. In a way, a lot of us do get bartender, dominoes, whatever bar add-ons we want, and we usually customize our own UI. What I noticed, and I'm pretty sure this is what Blizzard noticed, that a lot of people center the UIs. A lot of the abilities make like 2 different rows, and there's a few variations that they actually allow you to use with their new UI. So as you can see, the abilities instead of being at the very bottom, they're more towards the center of the screen. Still at the very bottom, but still more towards the center, which is what a lot of people started doing. So they're kind of trying to change the UI for your everyday average player in order to, I guess, not have to go get add-ons, and kind of modernize your casual players that won't really go get the add-ons, that just like to play the game as it is shipped. Now I want to get to the meat of the topic, the class buffs, and they changed them a lot. In the past, they actually had a buff for every class, and this is the original buffs. They had a buff for literally every class, so every class could bring something into a team, whether it's a dungeon group, whether it's a raid, whether it's an arena group, everything. You could think of any kind of buff, a class would always bring something to the table, so there's no need to, let's say, oh, Joe, you play Outlaw Rogue? I would say Assassination is probably a person better. No, I would say, Joe, come in here, you bring in a buff, it doesn't matter your DPS, at least you're helping the overall team. The whole group gets improved, and it's a lot easier for you to, let's say, not be pulling the highest damage, and still be playing the class you want to play, spec you want to play, but you're still bringing something to the table, so there's almost no reason to decline you. Every class had a buff, like Death Knights had a Leech, Demon Hunters had Haste, Druids had Versatility, Hunters had Movement Speed increase for 15, which is insane. Arcane Mage brought Arcane Intellect, Legacy of the Emperor for the Monks for Mastery. Every class except for Shaman had something. This is the current Blizzard class system with buffs. Class buffs right now, in Alpha. Of course, everything is subject to change. It is the Alpha, it is way too early on, but it looks like they specialize it for only a few classes. Mages, Priests, and Warriors all bring some kind of a buff with its intellect, stamina, or agility, or strength, so these guys might be core. They also added a variation for scribes. Let's say you don't have a mage or a warrior or a priest in your party, you can still get a War Scroll of Intellect, War Scroll of Fortitude, War Scroll of Battle Shout in order to give yourself a slight adjustment of that buff, almost what a normal warrior or a mage would bring. stuff like kind of like how we have Drums of Fury, which are like the Bloodlust drums. If you don't have Heroism, Bloodlust, or Time Warp in a group. And whenever I do my Mythic Plus, we usually have 2 Rogues, we usually have 1 Mystery or Monk, we usually have Paladin tank, or Blood Death Knight tank, and then we'll have like a Red Paladin DPS or something. So we don't bring any stuff like that, so we're being those guys popping the Scroll, popping the Fortitude, popping Battle Shout, and everything. You also have some classes like the Rogue and Demon Hunter that have a modifier, a damage modifier. Rogues on damage expose the weakness of an enemy, increases the damage taken by 5%. For Demon Hunters, it's Chaos Burn, increasing magical damage. So the 2 cursive elements away from Warlocks, and they're specified into these 5 classes. Mage, Priest, Warrior, Rogue, Demon Hunter, and I guess you could look at Shaman as Bloodless Heroism. Maybe Hunter, I don't know if they'll still have it, but maybe we'll say 5 from what they have here. Now, why would they do that? So basically, you're taking more buffs away, and this kind of wanted to give you guys attention on this. They're taking buffs away, and I have 2 theories of why that could be. Either one, they want to add more of an oomph towards making a comp when you're building a team for dungeons or arenas. Like, let's say you have a mage and a warlock, the group should be looking for a demon hunter in order to buff the damage of those 2 magic DPSers, because a rogue just wouldn't synergize them, and Blizzard just wants to emphasize the synergy. So let's say you have a warrior who grants strength and agility. I guess you could bring a warrior so demon hunter can get a little bit of agility, or you could even bring, since it's mostly about the mage and the warlock damage, they're the primary DPS, though demon hunter is like the assist kind of class, you could bring somebody who is a paladin or a monk or a bear druid. They don't bring anything to the table, but they might be maybe a stronger class. Maybe they'll bring something else to the table besides a overall buff. And even if you don't have a warrior, you can still use War Scroll Battle Shout. Maybe Blizzard is specifying it so people can actually craft a comp, and there'll be more complexity when it comes to team building, raid building, PvP, so then you don't have class stacking where we get into not enough buffs, you know? And maybe you would have different comps, like in Arena you would see rogues paired with melee, because exposed armor is so super good if you pair it with a warrior or like a paladin or a death knight. Maybe even a Windwalker Monk. You could have those little synergies. Demon Hunters would all, of course, play with casters in arenas because of that 5% magic damage increase. Warriors would probably play with other strength users and agility users, so maybe a warrior rogue combo will be strong. Priest, of course, will be there for stamina, or mages will be there playing probably with other casters. I'm not sure if Blizzard wants to specify and make it more customizable, more like a end goal, kind of like increase the uniqueness of a team comp. Or are they making mages, priests, warriors, rogues, and demon hunters part of like the core build? Maybe these classes will simply bring that extra buff, but they might not have something interesting like an AoE stun or some crazy burst damage, or maybe even be at the top damage, but they're core. In your group, in your raid, you'll always want to have a rogue, you'll always want to have a demon hunter. Whether they're at the top of the charts of damage or not, like they could literally be at the bottom, their contribution like, of exposed armor and chaos burn could be helping out the raid team or a dungeon team. So you'd always bring those guys, but Blizzard could kind of be a little bit more negligent in their balance. You know, it could give them a reason to make red pallies strong as a DPS, monks strong as a DPS, but a rogue could be less strong, more CC based, but still brings that exposed armor, which is invaluable. So it could help Blizzard balance classes a little bit differently, where it will be more about team play. I'm not really sure how they're going about it. I kind of like the idea that every class brings someone cool and new to the table, so that no matter who you're playing with, at least there's something that your team contributes to. But when they're specifying it to 5 classes like these, it makes me think either they're trying to hammer down to make like composition building a lot more effective, a lot more meaningful, and therefore it'll mean sometimes that your buddy Joe, who's just not that great of a rogue, can now come because he brings exposed armor. So you can bring the class, not the player. Even though the player might not be that great, he can at least contribute. Or are they going to make other classes that are not getting buffs a little bit stronger, a little more effective on their own? I'm not quite sure, not 100%. But these are my 2 theories so far, so I'd like for you guys to comment on that. But yeah, it looks like in Alpha, so far, they removed a lot of the buffs. They might bring back the Hunter buff, they might bring back the Monk buff, Paladin, and everybody else. I actually would be down with the idea that every class brings something new to the table, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about every class, or only certain classes bringing something to the table. That basically means in a raid group, you'll always have a spot for Rogue, and always have a spot for a Demon Hunter. So, yeah. That means you could be the worst rogue ever, hopefully not, but you'll always be broad. But classes like Windwalkers and Red Pallies and Shamans will have to compete against one another. While as a rogue, I'll always have a comfortable spot in the raid. I'm not sure how I feel about it. That's weird. I'm not sure. That's why I want you guys' thoughts about it. This is cool. I like the changes. I like the class buffs. I just don't know the idea. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you guys. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. Likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience, grow my channel, so that'll be very much appreciated. If you guys enjoy this kind of videos, updates on BFA, or just 5.5.1.1s, go ahead and hit, I can't even say that right. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, in order to catch every single video we put out. We put out 2 a day. And if you guys want to catch the live streams, which today we should be having a Friday EU 5v5 1v1 Horde duels, then please go ahead and hit the notification bell down in the description below in order to catch every single live stream we put out and every single video we put out. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.